Good. Then what? Okay. Do you? Okay. So what is your worldview?
Lapsed Catholic.
A lapsed Catholic.
Irish Catholic.
Okay. Well, the problem with Catholicism is they don't have the God of the Bible. Because if they did, they would be following the true gospel of Jesus Christ. But instead, they have another God that is the name of the God of the Bible, but it's not the same doctrine of salvation. Are you aware of that?
Like I said, I'm pretty much just invested in this world mostly.
Okay.
I don't really think about religion much.
When you say you're a lapsed Catholic, that's not really very informative. Do you believe in the Catholic doctrines?
From what I was taught of it, I sorta. I mean, you need a little bit of something just for comfort in this world.
Do you believe in the God of Catholicism?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, then why would you well, you said it was a joke anyway, so I won't go down there again. Well, let's put it this way. Do you understand that if you believe what the Catholic Church teaches, when you die, you're going to spend eternity separated from God? Because the Catholic system of salvation is where you come to Jesus, you get some of your sins forgiven, but then you're on a never-ending treadmill of sacerdotalism, incrementally getting rid of your sins in the hopes that you'll be good enough that ultimately God will forgive your sins when you die. Well, that's not the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Do you believe that Mary intercesses on behalf of the saints?
Yeah. So Jesus said you must be born again. Okay, and what that meant was you need to come to a radical change in your life where you realize that your soul is damned. You're going to spend eternity separated from God when your heart stops, and you turn to God to save you from the damnation that you are now under. Okay?
Look, I'm not. You're not. Look, I mean, I was just interested. I was just interested in this conversation, like listening to you guys. I'm not really.
I don't know if anybody's out there and watching, but
have a nice day. Okay, so we got
Darth Dawkins is here. I am trying to.
Can I get a couple of questions in?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm trying to get a debate. I've been trying to get a debate with this idiot for so long.
Oh, well, it was specifically a question for you.
Let me just check if the audio's working.
No. All right, go ahead.
Just curious, how old were you, Darth, when you became a Christian?
And you turn to God to save you from the damnation that you are now under.
So check.
How old were you, Darth, God beliefs before that point?
And you turn to God to save you from the
I'm not really sure that this is going to work. So check.
How old were you, Darth, God beliefs before that point?
And you turn to God to save you.
Sorry if I'm not going to leave this real quick. So check.
What led you to believe that was true?
Awesome. Okay, here we go. I'll raise my hand. I don't know that he's going to let me in.
Catholicism.
But this is a big day for me. I finally got this kind of.
You were a Catholic, you said?
No, I was nominally Catholic.
Did you believe Catholicism?
Nominally.
And what led you to that belief?
What I was taught as a child.
So just indoctrination?
Yeah. But then when I was old enough to read the Bible for myself, I began to realize that the Catholic doctrines, and specifically the Catholic doctrines of salvation, were a false representation of the true gospel of Jesus Christ.
I don't see how to get onto
to
the
repent
chat
and be born again and place my faith and trust in Jesus
I see
Christ.
open social chat, but I don't think that's what that is.
So for a certain amount of time, you were believing what the cult leaders were telling you?
This guy's kicking his ass.
Nominally.
Awesome.
Because I had no reason to doubt. Because there wasn't a reference point for me to doubt it from. But when I read the Bible for myself, now I had a reference point. Okay?
What does this mean right here?
It was like a
no,
gigantic spotlight in a dark cave that was turned on when I read the New
There
Testament.
we go.
Like, okay. The Catholic Church doesn't teach this. It doesn't teach that. There's no Mary worship. I couldn't find sacerdotalism in the Bible. These were all perversions and grand extrapolations of things in the Bible. Okay, so Catholicism, in my view, is simply a giant cult. I have no emotional acts.
Man, I'm actually kind of nervous. You know how this guy just beats up on everybody, but I think I'll be okay.
No reason to call into question Catholicism.
But I kind of got to pee, so I'm gonna go run and pee. You guys watch this. I'll be Well, sorry, am I allowed to say that?
When
I
I
have
became
to
a Christian,
go.
I began to realize the Catholic Church, along with
Have to
other
go
churches,
for a second.
were not
I don't want to
teaching
be
the gospel of Jesus Christ.
full bladder with this.
Do you attend a church now?
I have a local Bible-believing church I attend, yes, non-denominational.
Okay,
So
thanks.
why aren't you a believer?
I was, and then it wore off. For me, it was the opposite.
No.
I was raised a Christian, and then when I read the Bible
right
myself,
now, why do you not believe?
I'm unconvinced
Okay, of what?
of the truth of Christianity. Well, of gods in general.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So, what convinced you of the truth of the not God world?
I haven't discovered the truth of the not God world.
Oh, sir, you don't understand something. Okay. Either you will be believing in the God world or not. So you will either believe that all facts ultimately derive and depend upon God, or you will believe that all facts by necessity do not derive and depend upon God. So you will believe one or the other. There is no middle ground.
What's the question that you ask about the
What you said, you're not convinced in the existence of God. What convinced you of the non-existence of God?
Nothing. I haven't been convinced yet.
Oh, okay. Well, you see, this is a fallacious position because you're claiming to be neutral. You're claiming to be undecided. So I will just simply ask you a simple question. When you invoke facts, I'm going to ask you what you do. When you invoke facts, do you reference the necessity of God?
The necessity of the necessity. What does that mean?
When you
Invoke?
invoke facts, do they necessarily reference the necessity of God explicitly or implicitly? Do you do that?
When I invoke facts, I don't think of God at all.
Good. So then you invoke facts by choice without reference to the necessity of God. That, sir, constitutes the denial of God.
But I don't reference them to the non-God world either.
Okay.
Can you ask that question the other way?
Hank, listen carefully.
It's a dichotomy, right?
Either facts will reference the necessity of God, or facts will be invoked without reference to the necessity of God. If you invoke facts without referencing the necessity of God, that constitutes the denial of God, whether you admit it or not.
What if I invoke facts without referencing
All right, I got my hand
the
raised to see
non-God
if
world
they
too?
let me on. But
That's
honestly, this
impossible.
guy
It cannot
who's
be.
on
You're
here
not
right now is
understanding.
kind of
You have
saying
to invoke
exactly what I
facts
was
from
going to be
some
saying.
world,
So
Sir,
whether you like it or
I don't
not.
know.
let me ask you this question. When you invoke facts, do they reference the necessity of God?
No, nor do they reference the necessity of
Okay, so
non-God.
that's a lie right there.
No,
That's
it's not. It's absolutely the truth.
let me explain something to you. Okay, that's what you just said is incoherent. When you invoke facts, they are invoked without referencing the necessity of God. Are we
Right.
clear? Good. So your facts are said to exist without reference to God.
Can you ask that question in the other side of the dichotomy too?
Listen carefully.
Can you?
What you are attempting to do is simply camouflage what your real position is. You will either invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God or without. What you do invoke facts without reference to God. So
How do you?
listen carefully. In the
How did?
not God
Go ahead.
world, listen to me. Whether you invoke the God world or the not God world explicitly, they can be invoked implicitly. When you said you do not invoke facts with reference to the necessity of God, so then by default, you are invoking facts without referencing the necessity of God, which constitutes the not God world, but you're denying what you're actually doing. You're like a rapist caught in Central Park, and the police officer says you're under arrest for rape, and you say, "Officer, I'm not raping her. I was just making love to her without her consent."
Wow,
You're
this
making a
guy's
distinction.
is this
No,
It's
going to
not
get my
there.
channel
no. I'm
Listen,
saying I
banned?
never
Holy
touched her.
crap, this guy's nuts.
Hank, listen carefully.
Wow. Wow.
You invoke facts without referencing
What a
the necessity
meathead.
of God. Isn't that what you do?
How does one reference the necessity of God?
Hank, if you dodged another question,
No, but I don't
you
know.
get
I
kicked.
don't understand.
Goodbye, Hank. Goodbye.
You can't explain it?
Yeah, I'll explain that you're kicked from the stage. Yeah, this is what Hank does all the time. Hank dodges and dodges and dodges and dodges. This is what he does. Okay, I've dealt with him on dozens of occasions, so we're done. Okay, this is what they do, folks. They dodge, they evade, they lie. They will say anything in order to evade the responsibility of what their own position actually is. Anyway, I got to take a break.
No. Hey, wasn't Jay Robin here? I'll take Jay Robin. Bummer.
While he's taking a break, I'm gonna bring Hank back up here because I have a few questions for you.
My heart's actually racing. This is kind of crazy.
If you're still down there, Hank, and listening, I have some questions for you.
I don't know Tone Loc. Who is Wow, my heart is really racing. This sucks. I can't believe my heart's racing. I can't.
In the meantime, it'll just be you and me conversing with one another.
Who's you and me?
Okay, if Hank doesn't want to come up, does any other atheist want to come up then?
I do. I got my hand up. Tone, I'll talk to you.
Really, the whole point of this exchange is just to show that it's impossible to reference facts from some world. And you're going to be necessarily referencing facts from one world to other. You can't invoke facts from a neutral territory. That's essentially
Come
what
on,
Hank was
Tone Loc, let me
attempting
on.
to do. He was attempting
Come
to
on.
invoke
This is the
facts
one
from
I
a
wanted
neutral
to talk about because I
territory.
don't understand it. I want to know
That's literally
why these guys are
impossible
saying
because
this.
you can't invoke facts from anywhere. If you claim to take a neutral stance and
Okay,
saying
so
that
he's saying that. Okay.
your facts don't ultimately derive, or you can invoke facts without knowing where the facts are coming from, then what you're doing is taking a stance of neutrality. You don't have any justification to say that you're invoking facts at all when you talk about, well, I can do it without knowing where they're coming from. Well, you just have no grounds to just base that claim whatsoever because there's no context to put the claim in. So not only do you need to have a context, but the context has to be
I'm
specific.
shaking. This is so lame.
Other words, you have no justification to make the claim.
Why am I shaking?
So the point is this. It'll be like saying, well, hey, I can talk about strategies of the game of chess or chess pieces or checkmate. I can talk about all those things without the context of chess specifically. No, you can't. If you don't have the context of chess, then those facts don't exist. They're unintelligible. They just aren't there. So you need to not only have a reference point, but it needs to be specified in order to ground that your facts are intelligible or make any sense at all. It's just to teach the principle that facts require
This guy sounds
not
a little bit
only
nicer than Darth.
just some
Maybe he can explain it to
unidentified
me without
reference
yelling
point.
at me.
Facts do require a specified point of reference. It requires context. This is what happens when we talk to a lot of non-believers. They think they can just put forth one fact after another without any reference point whatsoever.
Come on, man. Let me on.
And they just say, well, I'm not referencing facts
I got the same references
with the
as you do.
necessity of God or with the necessity of non-God or whatever. I'm not invoking facts necessarily with or without God. Well, yes, you are. You're invoking facts from one of those two contexts. There's no way of getting around it, because ultimately it's going to be the God worldview or the non-God worldview that is the basis for all facts, period. To invoke a fact from an unidentified context is just to say that right now,
can we get just
the
one
fact
rational
can be
atheist? I'm asking to
intelligible
get on. Let's
without
see.
reference to the context.
He's just
Well,
preaching.
where did you get that from? That the fact can even be intelligible without reference to
Of course,
what
I don't
the
know if my mic's
context
working
is.
on here, but raise my hand.
The moment you say it can be intelligible, you're making an assertion about the nature of facts. And either you can ground that assertion or you can't. So neutrality in the invocation of facts is irrational.
Let's see what happens. I'm going to try and jump it in on my phone because I guess you can't see it.
Or not. It's really that simple.
I don't know if this is going to break or not.
And you can't hold to agnosticism and consistently apply it to the invocation of facts, because you're literally going to have to reason from this neutral frame of reference every time you make an assertion about anything whatsoever. You're just saying, well, these facts are here. I just don't know where they're coming from. Where'd you even get the groundwork that the facts even exist? This is what we talk about when we're doing the transcendental line of reasoning. Necessary preconditions. You obviously have to have step 1 before you get to step 77. What they're doing is saying, well, we just skip step 1 and we don't account for anything prior to step 77. We just skip step 1 and say, well, I don't have to know this first bit right here. And then I just have these facts chronologically down the road.
All right, come on, guys. Come on. Let me in.
Facts.
I can't log in on Clubhouse. I'm here. I got my hand raised. Let's go.
But the moment that you say that you can do
X, atheists are scumbags. I'm a scumbag.
You say you can ground an assertion, or you can ground a statement, or you can do X, Y, or Z. The moment you say that, you're making a statement about context, period.
Yep. Please let me on. Come on, let's go. Uh-oh. Why did it stop? Why did it stop? Shoot. This thing break? Crap.
When you say you don't know what the context is, then you're saying, well, I don't know this, but I know something. That doesn't require me to have the reference to the context.
What is this chat thingy right here? What does that mean?
Well, where do you get knowledge from without the context being intelligible, without the context being identified? How do you get a lack of knowledge from what's fundamental to a knowledge of what's non-fundamental? How does that work? How do you get knowledge from what a chess piece is or what the strategy of chess is without the knowledge of what chess is, period. Doesn't make any rational sense. But this is what these non-believers do all the time. They just stipulate, well, I can have all these facts without reference or knowledge of the ultimate or metaphysical frame of reference that grounds them all. Well, that's just an assertion. Unless you can provide the context metaphysically, ontologically, from where you're referencing facts, then you don't have a basis to call them facts, period.
Don't we provide the same reference as you do?
What do you mean by that question? When you say we, who are you talking about when you say we in reference to me?
Any human being that exists.
Are you okay? I'm not understanding your question. Are you saying that don't we provide the same? When you say we, you know that I'm a Christian, right? So
Yeah.
have a context, but you say the same point of reference.
Yeah.
So people, and so in other words, you're asking me, people who are not me, who may not be Christian, do we all ultimately come from the same point of reference?
No, I mean me and you. You as a Christian and me as not a Christian.
In one sense, yes, and in another sense, no. And here's what I'm talking about. I would say, in the sense that, in spite of your denial of the reference point that I hold to, you still have to invoke facts from that reference point. So yes, in that sense.
No. We both reference the same thing. We both don't know for sure. So we just we believe that if we stop breathing, we're going to die, and so we take a breath. And if we put our feet in front of each other, we'll walk. I mean, we have the same reference point, don't we?
You said we both don't know for sure. We both don't know for sure what?
We don't know for sure if there's some ontological, metaphysical, word salad grounding thing that Darth Dawkins always says. We just both assume that we're alive and we're having experiences and stuff.
Okay, you said we. You're making an assertion about what I know or don't know.
Do you think if you stop breathing, you won't die?
Hold on. You made an assertion about what I know or don't know in reference to the ultimate metaphysic.
Okay.
How do you know that I don't have reference or knowledge of the ultimate metaphysic? How do you know that I don't know that?
Because if you did, you'd be able to show something, and I don't know what you could show that would even show that was true.
No. Well, that's an appeal to ignorance. You're saying I don't know what that would be to show that, therefore I don't know it. Okay. Not only is that an appeal to ignorance, that's a non sequitur fallacy.
Okay, why don't you?
Hold on, wait.
There we go. Here it goes.
Wait, just because you're ignorant of what that would entail or what that would be, doesn't mean that I don't know it.
No, that's true.
That's not. Yeah.
You're right about that. So if you have some kind of metaphysical, ontological grounding of existence of all being that is a reference to your metaphysical, ontological word salad thingamabobber, can you show me something that would prove that would let me know that you have that thing and I don't?
Okay. I want you to back up your assertion though. You said I don't know what this ultimate metaphysic is. How do you know I don't know?
Okay, I'm wrong. Maybe you do know. So if you do know, you should be able to show me something.
Wait a minute. Are you walking back your statement then?
Yeah, I'll admit that I overstepped my bounds because I don't know what you know. Maybe you do know. So hopefully you can show me what you know.
Okay, what do you mean by show you?
If you know something, then hopefully that can manifest in a way that you could show something that shows that you know that thing. Otherwise, we're just pretending.
Okay, but you're not being specific what you mean by show you X. Can you unpack what you mean by that?
You say that you have some. Are you saying that you have some knowledge that you know the ultimate something?
I'm saying that as a Christian, I ultimately ground my assertion or invocation of facts on the existence of the Christian God. That's what I'm saying.
Oh no, I'm okay with that. I don't.
I'm just asking you when you say, "Well, show you that's true." What do you mean by that? Show you it's true.
Okay, so I mean, if somebody has some kind of knowledge, for sure, they can probably show something that shows that they have that knowledge. Like there's something they could probably manifest to. Like if I said that I know how to build a guitar amplifier, I could build a guitar amplifier and I would show it to you.
Yeah, I can show you what I'm talking about that would show that, but
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't mean
all. That's all.
that doesn't mean you're going to agree.
Oh
So
no, well, of course, but
that's what
I
I'm saying.
no.
Like
Usually
I
people
can
chicken
say,
out. Like you're the ones. You're actually saying that you would show it. Most people chicken out when you ask them to
yeah,
show it. So I'm actually
yeah,
I want to hear it from
yeah,
you because you're not
yeah.
chickening out.
You ever read the Bible?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's showing you right there.
What? That's like saying I
Yeah,
read Harry
I
Potter
told,
and it's showing me something. What do you? That
see,
doesn't mean anything.
see there it is right there. I told you would disagree.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I mean, come
just
on,
because.
man.
Well, hold on. That's why I asked you to unpack what you mean by show you. The fact you disagree with what I gave you doesn't mean I didn't show you. That just means you disagree with what I gave you,
Wait,
sir.
what are you showing me?
I'm showing you. I'm showing you a point of reference for which can indicate to you that God is real. I'm showing you the Bible, but you don't agree with that point of reference. So once again,
Well,
you need to be
don't tell me
clear.
what I agree and what I don't. I mean, I'll
No, you
agree with
just
you if you give me some
no.
evidence.
You said it. No, you said it. You said that doesn't show you anything.
Well, because
That
that's like
means you
saying
don't.
I'm showing you a newspaper, and that means that John F. Kennedy's still alive. I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, then you agree with what I'm saying, that you just don't agree with my frame of
Well,
reference.
because it's not really a. Well, okay, no. If that's what you mean by frame of reference, then I'm okay with that. I mean,
Okay,
it
so you
just
need to
doesn't mean
unpack what you
anything.
mean. Then like I asked you like 4 times already, you need to unpack what you mean by show you X, because apparently you didn't agree with my criterion there.
Well,
So what do you
because
mean by show you it's true?
I mean, that's not the kind of evidence you would use to show that you actually knew something, is
Dude, you're
it? To
not
say that you got a
dude,
book?
dude, I'm still waiting for you to unpack the
I'm
criterion.
saying
You're
it.
not
How
answering my
much more
question.
clear can I make it? If you know something, you can show that you know it.
What do you mean by show you I know it? What do you mean by that?
Okay. I think
You're
maybe
not
we're
being
talking about
clear.
something. Yeah, maybe we're talking about something else. Usually when you hear this kind of thing from
Sir.
Darth, he says things like, if you don't have this ultimate grounding thing, you can't know anything.
Now, look, you have a criterion of what it would mean for me to show you that God is real, that apparently I haven't met. So what is that criterion?
Oh man, I wouldn't ask you to show me that God is real. That's asking way too much from you. I'm just trying to understand
Look,
what you
man.
guys mean by
Look, man. If someone is staring outside
okay.
and then they say, "Hey, it's not raining outside," and then you look out the window right along with them, and then you see rain falling out the sky, and you be like, "Dude, it's quite clearly raining. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And then you have to have a conversation with them. You come to find out that they don't even know what rain is, and then you have to explain it to them, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're right. It is raining outside."
But I can
It
test
doesn't
the
make
rain.
it doesn't make any sense to say what's not there unless you know what you're talking about to say it is or isn't there,
Um,
right? Would it make any sense to say what's not the case unless you knew what you were
yeah,
talking
I
about?
guess if you knew everything, it would make sense to know it's not the case. But I'm not claiming to know anything,
No,
everything,
I'm
and I
not.
don't think you are
I'm
either.
not even
So
talking about everything. Look, if I say um, Billy didn't cheat on his test, I have to know what cheating is to even ground that statement.
okay.
Or he did or didn't cheat on his test. I would have to know what cheating means to even make that assertion. You can't just say what is or isn't the case without knowing the context of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, well, evolution didn't happen, but I don't know nothing about evolution. Now I don't agree with evolution, but just for the sake of this argument, let's say a creationist denies evolution, but they get a whole host of things about what evolution is wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
But
you have to know what it is you're talking about to assert or deny that its phenomena is a reality.
okay, well, that's what I'm trying to understand. When you guys say that
So
you need a
so
meta,
when you say that something is missing to demonstrate to you God is the case, you have to have a criterion of what that would mean. What does it mean? If God did exist, what would you necessarily see?
oh, I don't know. I mean, God would know. I'm not saying God's not. real.
Wait a minute. So you're telling me I haven't shown you the criterion when you don't even know the criterion?
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about how you guys say you got to ground your
No,
worldview in some
sir.
kind of
I
thing,
gave
bobber.
you, I gave you the criterion, the Bible, but you didn't agree with that.
Wait, the
But
Bible shows that you can't ground, you can't know that
well, you
you're.
can't. Well, you can't say that it doesn't because
That's
hold on.
medical.
Wait. You can't say that it doesn't because you don't even know the criterion.
What are you talking about?
No, you said that. Well, that's like showing you Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Well,
because you said that
well, hold on. You can only say that if you know the criterion of what it would mean to prove the existence of God.
what are you talking about proving the existence of God? I'm talking about your metaphysical grounding thing that you guys say that you can't
Sir.
know anything without having some metaphysical, ontological, ultimate, primary. I don't know all the words he uses, but that's what I'm asking about.
You wanted me to show you. You wanted me to show you the criterion. You know that
What exactly?
okay.
What
You wanted me to show you the criterion that connects to my ultimate metaphysics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and an example of that I gave you was the Bible, but you didn't.
How
agree
is
with
that an
did you?
example? That doesn't make any sense. That's like
How do you know that? But you don't know the criterion to say it doesn't make sense.
well, yes, I do, because you can't show anything by just saying, "Here's the Bible." It's not showing us something we didn't know before. There's no novel, testable prediction there. You're not saying anything.
So, in other words, you just said I can't show you God by showing you the Bible. How do you know that?
Because that's like saying I can show you a car by opening a box of Pop-Tarts. What the hell does that even mean?
So you do know the criterion to show you God, then to say that doesn't work.
I know that it's better than that. I don't have an exhaustive list of what it's not, but you can't just say that a book that some guys put together.
Wait. So you don't know that the criterion cannot show God, then?
Oh my God.
Do you know or don't know that the Bible can show God? Which is it?
I know that it can't show God.
Okay, so what is the criterion that can show God?
A novel, testable prediction.
Oh, so your criterion is an empirical method.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's one of them. That could be.
Then why did you say that from the start? I was asking you about the criterion for like 5 minutes now.
No, you weren't. You were running your own script. I was trying to ask you some stuff.
No, I didn't run a script. I asked you a question. I asked you to show me the criterion. And you just now got to the criterion.
No.
Wait a minute. Stop. Did I ask you the criterion or not?
You did, but I don't know what the hell you're even talking about when you're asking the criterion. Because that's like asking you, okay, that's like me asking you a question. What is the ocean?
Stop.
Yeah, here you go.
Stop. Did you just now tell me the criterion after I asked you for 5 minutes?
No, because you didn't ask me a specific question about criterion. What you asked me was something like, what is refrigerator?
Sir.
No, but you're not going to let me. I'll say you.
Stop.
I'll say what I heard from you.
I was very clear about what I said.
No, you weren't.
No, I gave you an example.
Yeah, the Bible. Are you kidding me?
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I gave you an example about making an assertion about criterion when you don't know what you're talking about with the rain example.
Right, but you were so vague with it that it's like asking me.
No, that's not vague.
Okay, can I finish this question? If you let me finish this question, this sentence, you may understand what I'm trying to ask you. What you asked me was saying something like, "What is refrigerator white?" Like, I don't even know what that means. That when you say criterion like that, and you're so out there with that, I don't know what you mean. Now that you're asking me, I can tell you that the Bible is not the criterion that I would look for.
Okay, so why do I have to have an empirical criterion? Do you use that for everything?
Does that matter?
Yes, it does. Do you use an empirical methodology to prove everything?
As much as I can.
Okay, why don't you prove empirically that the Earth is more than 5 seconds old?
I can't, and neither can you.
Exactly. So you don't use an empirical methodology for everything.
Of course, just like I just said, I don't use an empirical methodology for everything. I get as close as I can. But I mean, if we're going to go on this crazy solipsism stuff.
So why are you picking and choosing when to apply it and when you don't?
Because some things you can empirically show pretty much. But I mean, this is more about fallibilism. We can't be 100% sure. I can't know, and neither can you.
So you don't know what you can actually empirically prove or not prove.
No, and neither do you.
Well, so you introduce a criterion that you don't even know that you can use.
It's Fallibilism is about as close as we can get. We can be pretty sure. I mean, we can't be ultimately sure.
Why did you introduce a criterion that you don't even know you can use?
Are you having trouble hearing?
Why did you introduce a criterion that you don't even know you can use?
Because it's the only criterion we have.
No, but you said you don't use it to prove everything, though.
Because you can't.
Okay, so why do you use it?
Because it's the best criterion we have.
So which things are you going to use it to prove, and which things are you not going to use it to prove?
Those things that we can prove, and we can't use it for things we can't prove.
Okay, so how do you know which can be proven by it and which can't be?
Well, we know for sure that we can't ultimately prove any of it, but we can be pretty sure that if I don't know. Okay, if you're looking at my camera, okay. For anybody who's watching, I've got my webcam on. I'm going to drop this set of keys. I don't care. I'm going to drop this set of keys, and it's going to fall on the ground. Oh, there, it just fell on the ground. I'm going to pick up the set of keys again. I'm going to drop it, and it's falling on the ground.
That's not what I asked you. You're not tracking me at all.
Okay.
How do you know what empirical thing, what things empirically can be proven by the method and which things cannot be proven by the method?
Nothing can be 100% proven by it.
You're not answering my question.
Yes, I am.
How do you know which things can be proven empirically and which things cannot be?
Nothing can be proven completely to 100%.
You're not answering my question.
Yes, I am.
For like the fourth time. How do you know which things can be empirically proven and which things cannot be?
I don't know what you're not getting. Nothing can be proven. Nothing can be 100% proven.
Okay, dude. Can you prove anything or not?
No.
So why are you asking for a criterion which
oh man, this isn't absolute. You're going to some crazy absolute. I'm telling you that as best as we can determine, if I drop.
Okay. How do you, sir? You either prove something or you don't. How do you 2% prove something?
Because it's only accurate to about 2%. That would be your 2% proof right there.
Dude, no, you're talking about your psychological confidence in it, not proof. Those are not the same thing.
What?
You're talking about your confidence in whether you believe in a certain proposition.
No, you can't prove anything for 100%. I mean, that's just a fact.
No, you're talking about your psychological confidence.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about reality. You don't know that the world wasn't created last Tuesday.
Wait a minute. Did you just prove that statement? That no one could prove everything 100%?
No, but if you want to play that silly game, then go ahead. But
that's not a silly game.
Oh, please.
Did you make a true statement when you asserted that?
Yes. I mean, I'll die on that hill. I mean,
okay.
I don't know how you're gonna.
So it's self-refuting.
Whatever. That is,
dude.
Okay.
Stop saying self-refuting.
Let's make sure that we're on the same page here.
Stop saying self-refuting crap, dude. You need to be clear about your criterion. You're all over the place. You're self-destructing.
Let's make sure we're on the same page. Are you claiming that you could prove something 100%?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I came on here to ask, because if you can do that, that's what I want to know.
I don't even know what it means to prove something 75% or 88% or 2%. I don't even know what that even means.
Well, I'll tell you. If you want to know, I'll tell you.
Well, tell me what that means without talking about psychological confidence.
Okay. You can't know for sure that the world wasn't created last Tuesday.
Psychological confidence.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You said for sure. You can't know for sure. In other words, you can't be confident in that, psychologically speaking.
No. Whether I exist or not, if there was any being out there that didn't even have psychology, that could only record facts and logic, even that being wouldn't know that the world wasn't created last Tuesday.
How do you separate certainty or uncertainty from psychology?
I don't care about certainty in psychology. I don't trust human brains or squishy, stupid things. I don't care. I don't care.
How do you separate certainty or uncertainty from psychology?
Prove to you, God.
Stop. I'm asking him, how do you separate certainty or uncertainty from psychology?
If you brought up a hypothetical being that had no psychology, that could only record logic and what it observed, it also would not be able to tell whether or not the world was created last Tuesday.
You're not answering my question.
Because your question is irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant, sir.
It's irrelevant.
Because
my psychology is irrelevant to the facts of the world.
You keep talking about when you talk about confidence or whatever.
No, not
Or
about my
what?
confidence.
No,
Not
you
at
said
all.
one.
Nope.
Sir, you said 100% know something. That is talking about
Okay,
being
how about
confident in
get
it,
rid of the word no? How about just 100% it is or it isn't?
dude. So it could be 77% then.
Yes,
Okay, how do you 77? How do you partially prove something?
because you're not 100% able to prove it.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by 100%?
Because the world could have been created last Tuesday.
When you say you can't 100% prove it, what do you mean by that?
I mean, the world could have been created last Tuesday, but it would appear for all intents and purposes like it was created billions of years ago.
No, you're just telling me what could have been. That doesn't tell
Yeah,
me.
that's exactly right. I
That doesn't
don't know
show
how you're
me.
not getting this.
No, it doesn't explain your 100% statement.
Yes, it does.
No,
You can't.
no, you're talking about an alternative. That doesn't mean you're explaining to me 100% versus 2 or 8% or whatever.
I don't know if somebody can help you with this, but this is
Dude, can you 2% prove something? Yes or no?
you could say it's a 2% probability.
Okay, so now you're talking about probability now.
You know what I'm talking about. Don't play dumb.
No, I'm not playing dumb. You're not being straightforward in your criterion. That's why I have to ask you these questions.
Yeah.
So you're not even talking about proof anymore. Now you're talking about probability.
It's inspired by the Holy Spirit.
You started by saying proof, dude. Now you're talking about probability. You're all over the
So
place.
you can't completely prove anything, and you know that.
How do
you
you
know
that?
we're both saying
Did you
that.
prove that?
Yes. You want me to prove it?
Dude, that's a self-contradiction.
Want me to prove it right now?
Okay. So you said that we can't prove anything. Well, it's the Christian position that the God of Christianity is objectively provable. Now, your position is that nothing is provable, or what?
Yeah, I don't think we could be sure.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't ask you about certainty. You made the statement that something couldn't be proven. What were you referencing?
I think things could be proven, but nobody's proved it yet.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying then is, in terms of the Christian position, that God has revealed himself through the entirety of creation, that all facts individually and collectively are indicative and revelatory of him because he purposed that. What you're saying, that's not the case. Is that right?
I'm saying that I don't know that that's the case.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
All right, listen. Okay, I've been doing this for 10 years with people who are unbelievers, so I'm familiar with how people verbalize their position. So there's only two positions that one can take in regards to facts. Facts will either be invoked with reference to the necessity of God or without. So are we clear about the dichotomy?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. This is what I hear you say a lot, so that's why I was trying to get more clarity from you, because I'm actually kind of a
okay. Yeah.
fan of Darth Dawkins here.
So the point. Oh well, that's good. That's great. I need more.
You're an atheist, but you're a fan.
Well, he likes to shut down people that are supposedly in my community that I really don't like. So I think it's pretty funny when he does it. So
okay. So
Yeah.
okay.
Worldview.
So what I'm doing here is demonstrating a true dichotomy. So
Okay.
either all individual and collective facts are indicative in reference to God or without. So my position is that they necessarily are indicative of God, and they can only be so because God purposed it to be that way. Now, the only other position that you could take is that they do not necessitate being indicative of God. That's your position, right?
yeah, but I'm really interested in the first thing you said, because
Hold on a second. Hey, listen, I'm asking a question of clarification so I can respond.
Okay.
Okay. Now, your positive position is that all the facts that you're acquainted with, individually and collectively, do not indicate or reveal God. Now, how were you convinced of that?
I'm just not convinced, is all. I'm not.
No. You're not You're not understanding the nature of the question.
Okay.
there's only two positions that you can take.
Yeah.
Either the facts necessitate referencing God or not. You're taking the not position.
Yeah.
The facts do not, in and of themselves, necessitate indicating God. Okay.
Well, I don't know that I would put it that way, though.
Well, that's the only two options that we have. Okay.
Okay.
Either the facts in question, by necessity, reference the necessity of God, or not.
Like, could you give me an example of one of those facts? Like that's the part I'm not getting.
It doesn't matter what the fact is. It could be a rock on the side of the road. It could be the grass blowing in the wind. It makes no difference. Every fact, individually and collectively, will either be conceptualized or categorized as by necessity referencing the necessity of God or not. All right? So I'm just simply laying out the dichotomy before we move on.
Okay, wait, Darth, could you speak up? I don't know if you're far from your mic or whatever, but
all right, how about now? Is that better?
Yeah. Especially if you end up getting mad at me, I really want you to give me the full Darth Dawkins treatment, so it has to be at full volume. But
get off my phone.
Yeah. That's what I want.
Get out of here, you fake, you phony, and you fraud. How's that? Did that make you feel good?
That's better, because man, when you I'm going to get beat up by my community, but when you called somebody duck lips, it put the biggest smile on my face ever.
There's only one effervescent and vivacious person that I call duck lips.
Don't say it. You're going to get me in trouble.
That is the effervescent shallow Shannon Q.
Oh, okay.
Now, do you know why I call her duck lips?
Because she's duck lips.
Is because she's constantly doing publicity photos of herself puckering her lips like Donald Duck.
No, but it's actually kind of cute, though.
I don't think it looks cute. I think it looks stupid. I think it looks like a 15-year-old girl who's doing a selfie.
It's like, I mean,
what's a grown woman doing selfies, puckering her lips for the camera?
Yeah, that's internet culture for you, but
Yeah. That's why do you think I use the word shallow?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the topic.
Okay.
So your position, or like many unbelievers, is you want to paint your position as a kind of, well, I'm just unpersuaded. You know, you're making a claim, but that's simply not the case when it comes to the God world versus the not God world. If we're talking about gold on Mars or Bigfoot, you know, you could hold to a mere state of incredulity. But because God or not God are both universals, in other words, everything is either universally derived and depending upon God or universally not.
But could somebody say the same thing about Bigfoot? They couldn't?
Well, but then you would be positing Bigfoot as a concrete universal in the same way that God is a concrete universal. But then you would just be identifying God and by calling him Bigfoot. Okay. So look, in order to understand your position more clearly, it helps to juxtapose it conceptually against what you don't believe, right? And what you don't believe at the moment is in the God world. Well, what do we mean by the God world? Is it just that God is the final boss of the universe, who's an unimaginably powerful and knowledgeable entity who's going to get you if you don't love him, right? No, what we're talking about God, we're talking about the creator-creature distinction, the supreme being who is the creator and sustainer of all things that are not himself. So in this way, any fact in question in the God world, universally, every single one of them derives and depends upon God. Now, if you choose not to believe that, that's not a mere state of incredulity. Like if I said to you there are nuggets of gold on the surface of Mars, you could take a stance of incredulity without denying that there are nuggets of gold on Mars, right? But when we're talking about God as the creator-creator distinction, it's a worldview. God or not God are worldviews. Nuggets of gold on Mars is not a worldview.
Why does it matter if it's a worldview that makes it a special dichotomy, and if it's not a worldview, it's not a special dichotomy? I'm not understanding that part.
Well,
dichotomy.
It's
Bigfoot is not you.
because there are certain states of affairs in and of themselves that do not constitute a comprehensive and complete worldview.
But
When we talk about God, whether you claim to believe in God or not, whether you believe or withhold belief, when we talk about God, we're talking about a worldview where we have God is that which is ultimate, eternal, and the source and basis of everything that exists that is not himself. That's called the creator-creature distinction. Now, if you choose not to accept that for whatever reason, that constitutes an implicit denial. It's a de facto denial, whether you realize it or not.
That's where I'm having trouble, because I don't understand how like your worldview could say that Bigfoot exists, and if you say that Bigfoot doesn't exist, then your worldview is an implicit denial of something.
Does Bigfoot constitute categorically the ultimate?
Maybe maybe if Bigfoot.
Well, listen. You have to make up your mind that when you are invoking an object, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that object conceptually will have the attribute of being the ultimate or not.
I don't know what ultimate means, I guess.
Ultimate means the ground of all being, the reason why anything at all exists.
Well, I mean, isn't that the question? Like, we don't know if there's something like that.
Your problem in the conversation, you need to focus on what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
I haven't begun to attack your position. All I'm simply doing is clarifying what your position actually entails. So your position is not a mere state of incredulity, right? Although many unbelievers like to express it that way, right?
I'm trying to understand.
Okay, when you think of a rock on the side of the road or a slice of pizza, whatever fact it is,
okay,
that fact will be conceptualized as depending and deriving upon God, or that fact will be invoked verbally or mentally without referencing God.
Okay. Now, that makes sense.
If the fact in question, the rock on the side of the road, explicitly or implicitly is by necessity referencing the necessity of God, then this either directly or indirectly entails the proposition that God exists.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if the fact in question is invoked and conceptualized without referencing the necessity of God, then that proposition itself constitutes the denial of the existence of God.
No.
Yes.
No.
100%.
How?
Because a fact in question, when it is invoked, will either reference the necessity of God, or it will be invoked without referencing the necessity of God.
Okay.
Now, if I invoke a fact with reference to the necessity of God, that propositional stance entails that my position is that God exists.
Okay, I get that.
Now, if I invoke the fact without referencing the necessity of God, then it entails that God does not exist.
How?
The problem you're having is with the entailment. Your problem is that you're focusing on that the only way to deny God is to do so explicitly. All you have to do is invoke a proposition, any proposition at all, and if that proposition entails the non-existence of God, then by affirming that proposition, you are affirming its entailment. Okay? If P, then Q. If you agree that proposition P necessarily entails Q, and I assert to you that P exists, and you accept that P exists, then the affirmation of P entails the existence of Q. Okay?
Okay.
So another way of looking at it is that when we invoke objects like rocks on the side of the road, grass, whatever, you will either categorize or conceptualize the entity in question as creaturely, or it will be without the attribute of being creaturely. Okay? For example, you could say that the grass blowing in the wind or the rock on the side of the road will be conceptualized without the attribute of being creaturely until shown otherwise. Now, that propositional stance entails the denial of God, whether you intend, to deny the existence of God or not. It doesn't matter. You see, this is what I remember. The late Rush Limbaugh talked about people saying that people focus on your good intentions. Your good intentions don't matter. What matters is what is the entailment of what you affirm. Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Can God logically exist if there's one fact that does not necessarily derive from him? If there's one fact that is said to exist that does not necessarily depend and derive upon God, then God does not exist in that world. God can only exist in a world where any other object that is not God by necessity derives and depends on him. I'm not saying God's existence depends upon those things. I am saying is logically, God only exists in a world where anything else that exists that is not God, then those things would derive and depend upon God. So if you invoke a proposition or a fact in question, but that proposition or fact itself does not by necessity derive and depend upon God, then God would not exist in such a world.
Let me see if I'm understanding this right. So in the case of like with the Bigfoot argument, you wouldn't say that just because you don't know for sure that Bigfoot exists, that it wouldn't.
Well, first of all, when we talk about entities in question, is Bigfoot within the category of the ultimate or not ultimate?
I don't know. It could be an ultimate Bigfoot.
No. Listen to me. Either Bigfoot will be invoked with the attribute of being ultimate, or it will be with it invoked without it being invoked. Okay.
Could you make an invoked ultimate Bigfoot or something?
Saying I don't know. Listen.
I don't know. I'm telling you the truth that I don't know.
Listen to me.
Okay.
The difference between knowing and believing is a fine line. Okay. We use the knowledge. First of all, let me give you a Venn diagram. Put a circle up on the chalkboard. Okay.
Okay.
Within that circle are called beliefs. Okay.
Yep.
And we could have a multitude of dots or subcircles. We have belief A, belief B, C, whatever. Okay. Now, within the circle of all your beliefs, there's a subcircle that we call knowledge. And these are beliefs that we reserve the highest level of confidence for, that we have greater warrant or justification for, rather than lesser.
Okay.
If those beliefs within the subcircle of knowledge, their warrant and justification falls below a certain level, then it would move out of that subcircle into the wider circle of just general beliefs. And within the general area of beliefs, you could have a belief that in a proposition for which you have no warrant or justification for, or for most of your beliefs, you will have some warrant or justification. But when you have the highest level of warrant or justification, or you categorize that as knowledge.
Right.
In philosophy, they call that a justified true belief. Okay.
Okay.
Rarely does somebody come along and believe in a proposition for which they will admit that they have no warrant for whatsoever. Okay? So the distinction between knowledge and difference is sometimes a fine line and simply a matter of degree or emphasis. So it makes no difference that you say, well, I don't know. The bottom line is you choose not to believe that an object in question, an entity in question, you choose not to believe and invoke that with reference to the necessity of God. It's something that you're doing.
Okay, I think I agree with that.
So when somebody comes along and says, "Oh, I don't know," it doesn't matter. The issue is, what do you believe and what are you doing? You are choosing to believe in the actuality and intelligibility of a variety of facts, and that those facts can be invoked as actual and intelligible without invoking the necessity of God.
It seems like that to me, yes.
Okay, now that entails the non-existence of God with respect to that position.
Doesn't it just entail the possibility of the non-existence of God?
No. God's existence. God, look, if I say to you it's possible there's a deer in my backyard, well, it's possible there is, it's possible there's not.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about God, the issue of God possibly existing is a kind of a category error. I avoid, like the plague, talking about the possibility of God.
Okay.
I think it's fraught. It's fraught with problems. Our position will either be explicitly or implicitly affirming the existence of God directly or indirectly, or not. This is a true dichotomy.
Yeah. This is where I'm getting stuck, because I'm trying to understand why the God concept is so different than any other claim.
See, now you'll notice that you haven't been agreeing a certain portion of the time with me, but I haven't been the least bit agitated with you. Do you know why? Do you know why?
Because I'm not trying to dodge your questions like all the atheists usually do.
Because you're not transparently being evasive.
Yeah.
Okay? At least it's not transparent to me.
Well, this is what I tell them on their channel. Why don't they just give you a straight answer? Like, if they gave you a straight answer, you'd give them a straight answer.
Because they're scumbags. Okay? So the point I'm trying to get to you is we haven't even gotten to the point of discussing the reasons to believe or not to believe in God. We're wasting time here, and I'm not faulting you here. But we're wasting an inordinate. No, you don't have to apologize. We're wasting an inordinate amount of time. I don't mean just now. I'm talking about on the interweb.
Yeah.
About trying to get these people to acknowledge what their position is. So if they don't really acknowledge what their position is, they can just sit there and whistle past the graveyard and just go, "Oh, I lack belief. I don't know." Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of P.Z. Myers?
Oh my God. Yeah, I heard him cry bully people to death and kick them off the internet. That's what I hear from P.Z. Myers.
Okay, so P.Z. Myers, in an AMA, I asked P.Z. Myers, how is it that God doesn't exist? Now, this guy is a rabid atheist.
I would say that he's got his own religion going, and he's the god of it. I wouldn't say he's an atheist.
Well, anyway, he said in response to me, well, I am not saying that there couldn't be a guiding intelligence. He then went on to say as well, it's just that the gods have been presented to me, the God of Catholicism, the God of Islam, and then he said the God of Buddhism, which was kind of silly. But he just said, well, those are false. So he went from global atheism to local atheism. The bottom line is, he was outright denying what his position actually is, which is the denial of the existence of God. And I will quote him. He said, well, I'm not saying there couldn't be a guiding intelligence. Now, in 2009, if my year is correct, he wrote a paper on Thanksgiving where he basically says there's no God. A couple of weeks ago, he did a YouTube video about how he became an atheist, where he openly declares there is no God. But when I asked him, how is it that there is no God, he denied that his position was that there was no God. Okay, and this is what we're dealing with every day with many unbelievers. They believe there is no God, but they don't want to represent their position accurately. As such, they would have to defend it, and they don't want to have to defend the falsity of God because they know they can't do it. So they play this little game, oh, you're the one making the claim. Well, granted, if somebody does affirm God, and somebody says, okay, and how do you explain that position, right? Then the person has to explain it. But you see, atheism and theism are just simply the negations of each other, and they're both propositional positions. Theism is the proposition that God exists. Atheism is the position that there are no gods.
Okay. I mean, if we're going to define atheism, I don't want to get all Steve McRae on you or whatever, but if we're to define it, then I would just say I'm agnostic about that.
Okay, well, then you're claiming, so now you're claiming to suspend judgment about the existence and non-existence of God. Now, that's a claim.
I don't know that I'd be suspending judgment so much as I haven't, actually, Darth, if you could help me with this one, because this is a question I see so much, and I think.
Can you just hold that thought?
Yeah.
I don't want to have a Joe Biden moment.
Okay? Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. You will either affirm God, you will deny God, or you will do what some people like to do, and you will claim that you neither affirm nor deny God, and that the existence and non-existence of God remains an open question, which is the claim to suspend judgment about the existence and non-existence of God.
Oh, okay, but I want to be as honest as I can, Darth. I think I really believe that last one.
Okay. I'm going to ask you simple questions.
Okay.
Do you affirm the existence of God?
No.
Do you affirm the non-existence of God?
No.
Okay. Do you suspend judgment as to those two propositions?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're claiming not to make any judgment. But the fact is you have made a judgment already while claiming you haven't. And I'm going to show it by what you do.
Okay.
When you invoke facts, when you do that, are they invoked with referencing the necessity of God?
No, I don't think so.
Good. So you are invoking facts by choice without referencing the necessity of God. So you believe that facts can be invoked as actual and intelligible without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God. Now, you are believing in a type of fact where it does not possess the attribute of deriving and depending upon God. Well, that fact,
no.
Yes.
Okay.
You are invoking a fact. You will either invoke a fact. Let's talk about the rock on the side of the road.
Okay.
When you invoke the rock on the side of the road, the rock will either be invoked with reference to the necessity of God or not.
Okay.
Now, if you ask me, because of my position, because I take the positive position that God exists, when I am invoking that fact with reference to the necessity of God, that is an indirect declaration of the existence of God. Because if a fact in question, it will either be categorized as creaturely or it will be categorized as not creaturely. If somebody says, I don't know, this is just a verbal subterfuge to hide the fact that they're reckoning it as not creaturely until shown otherwise to be creaturely. Okay? So the fact that one goes, I don't know, doesn't change the fact that you're still invoking the rock on the side of the road by choice without referencing the necessity of God.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. Yes.
Okay, so you are invoking facts as having the attribute of being not creaturely. Because the only other way you could is that you would invoke it with the attribute of not being creaturely. So I ask you, when you invoke facts, do you do so with reference to the necessity of God? And the answer was no. You do not do that.
Okay.
So when you invoke facts by choice, you are invoking it without referencing the necessity of God.
Yeah.
Okay. But you see, God can only coexist in a world where all facts derive and depend on him by necessity. So if you invoke a fact, let me try to illustrate it a little simply.
Okay.
Suppose we have a world where God is, and he decides to create the world. But God will only create a world where there are blue marbles. Okay?
Okay.
Right? Now, and this is a thought experiment, right? So God will not, for whatever reason, create a world where there are red marbles, right?
Okay.
So either the marble that you invoked will be invoked with the property of being blue or not.
Okay.
Okay. So if you invoke the property, you say, yeah, this is a blue marble, then you are indirectly affirming the existence of God. On the other hand, if you say, well, this blue marble does not reference the attribute of blue, so then by default it will be red. And if it's a red marble, then God doesn't coexist with red marbles.
Okay.
Now that's a kind of sloppy analogy. You know, the point is this: people don't want to acknowledge that they're denying God because they want to say, well, I could be wrong. Who cares if you say you could be wrong? The bottom line is you've decided that it's not necessary to reference the necessity of God when invoking facts.
Yes.
That constitutes the denial of God.
I don't. Can you clear something up for me? I don't want to give this guy any more views. He's got plenty. So I'm just gonna. I think you'll know the example when I say it. But he talks about his lawn has either an odd or even number of blades of grass.
Yeah. This is okay. This is
don't say his name.
Steve McRaeism. You know, there could be an even or an odd number. Okay. You can withhold judgment as to whether there's an even or an odd number. Okay. But you see, the state of affairs, even an odd number, that state of affairs doesn't constitute what is ultimate. Okay.
So this is when you're talking about the categories or whatever.
This is a category error.
Okay.
Okay. Because when we're talking whether there's an even or an odd number of electrons or marbles or gumballs in a jar or blades of grass, we're moving from the category away from what is ultimate.
I don't understand why that matters. I mean, they're both claims,
because,
you know.
Because there are some states of affairs that you can choose to be incredulous about, that you can choose to withhold judgment, but God is not one of them. So when people try to say that you can suspend judgment like you could about the number of marbles in a jar, even or odd, this is a category error.
I don't. I mean, this is the part I'm having trouble with, is understanding why these aren't just claims, whether they're in different categories or not.
Because okay. So when it comes to the position where somebody says they're suspending judgment, they're claiming to suspend judgment, but they're not.
But I mean, you're not going for the JREF million. Like, you're not reading my mind. Like, you're not claiming to know what's in my mind. You're actually saying that for sure. That it's not that I'm thinking the wrong. That I'm not.
I'm just simply telling you
Okay.
that if you conceptualize God not in terms of the creator-creature distinction, then you will simply conceptualize God as being kind of the final boss of the universe. Well, such an entity you could suspend judgment about.
Okay, so I'm thinking of God wrong.
Right. Well,
okay.
Most unbelievers are just simply conceptualizing God as an unimaginably powerful and knowledgeable, unembodied entity who is just running everything like Thanos on steroids. Right? We're not talking.
Yeah, this kind of is. Yeah, sorry.
We're talking about the creator-creature distinction. Okay. Here's how Van Til puts it. Van Til says that God is the concrete universal. Right. In other words, God is concrete in that he is presented categorically as being an actual entity and not merely a mental abstraction. Okay.
Okay.
So God in the God world, God is the concrete universal in that he is a concrete object, and everything else universally derives and depends upon him conceptually in a worldview. Okay, so in the God world, God is the concrete universal. Now, The opposite, or I shouldn't say the opposite of that, but differently from that would be an abstract universal, that everything is collectivized by some abstraction in your mind. Okay? Now, since God is categorized as the concrete universal, if you don't reference God as the concrete universal, right? Now, I'm not expecting people to use this type of terminology or nomenclature when they're thinking, especially when they're unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
I'm using this for clarification purposes. If you will either categorize God as the concrete universal, or it will be without that. Okay? So to categorize or conceptualize God as not being the concrete universal constitutes the denial of God. God, by definition, being the creator, the supreme being, is the concrete universal. So if an object is invoked, okay, that by necessity it doesn't reference the necessity of God, then that object in question is not universally by necessity related or derivative from God. It is simply said to exist without the necessity of referencing the necessity of God.
Okay. Could you help me understand the creator-creature distinction? I've heard you say that before, but I didn't really get it, what you meant by that. Uh-oh, am I off? Oh no, did my stuff just mute?
No,
I can hear you, man.
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you.
Yeah, I think maybe Darth got muted. Like I don't understand the creator-creature distinction thing. Does somebody?
What he's saying is that when he talks about the creator-creature distinction, he's talking about the fact that whatever is fundamental to all facts is the creator. That means the creator doesn't depend upon anyone or anything else for its existence. The creation is derivative or dependent upon the creator. So you can't talk about something that is not dependent upon anyone or anything else in the same way you talk about the creation.
Okay.
Therefore, we have a distinction.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't getting it before. Like it was always during some like really heated argument where he would talk about it, and nobody really defined it. But yeah, no, that's good. But how does that make that still not a claim that you could not know? Like I still think I could not know. I don't understand how I could not know.
Because it's in a category called the transcendental necessity. Think about this. Can you say you don't know whether there's gold on Mars or not the same way you say you don't know about the laws of logic?
Not in the same way, I wouldn't think, but
you say you don't know the laws of logic at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if we went to some crazy hard solipsism or something, I guess I could say that. But
well, then you'd be implicitly presupposing them to deny them, though. That's the thing. At the very least, you'd have to presuppose the law of identity that says A equals A.
Okay. But how does that mean that the claim of a God is something you can't say that you don't know? I don't. That's what I'm. That's what I'm not getting.
What it means is that you cannot deny transcendentally necessary categories. That's what it means.
But it still seems like a claim.
Okay, no. Okay, try to deny the law of identity, sir, right now.
Okay, I won't. I think law of identity is pretty solid.
Right. We're saying that God is in that sort of a category.
But why?
Why? Because again, there's the creator-creation distinction. I'm not saying you have to believe that God exists, but what we are saying is that if you do deny God, if you don't start with that God is necessary, then you're gonna have to put something else in place of that. You have to put something else in place of that, some other fundamental ultimate.
That seems like a false dichotomy right there, though. I just don't know.
Sir. No, sir. It's either.
Do we know there's an ultimate?
Okay, sir. It's either. Okay. Here's the problem.
Okay.
If you deny there's an ultimate, then then it wouldn't make sense to talk about things which are derivative. I mean, for instance, do you believe that you eternally existed?
Not as far as I know.
Right. So there was something that was prior to your existence. So if we talk about um, how we conceptualize all facts, either um, all facts have always existed or not. There's no third option.
Okay.
Either all facts always existed or not.
That
And if you
I'm okay
accept
with
that,
that.
yeah. Do you
But
believe
that's
that
not
all
making a
facts?
claim
Yeah. Do you
about a
believe that?
God, though.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Do you believe that all facts existed eternally?
I don't know for sure. All facts existed. I don't think so. No, because like say like there's a fact that an asteroid is going to hit the Earth, but that fact didn't exist before it hit the Earth, I guess.
Right. Is there at least one fact in the set of facts that didn't begin to exist?
I think so. I think some really basic thing like something exists, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation, I guess.
Yeah. What is it?
I don't know.
Okay. If you say you don't know, then what would even ground the statement itself? I don't know.
I don't know.
What?
But I'm
Okay.
not
So
making a claim. That's why I'm saying
is there?
that.
Well, but you are making the claim implicitly that your statement is intelligible, that it can be understood by
Can you
those
understand
people.
it?
Yeah, I can.
And I can understand you. So
Yeah. What grounds that you can understand? What's the context?
because we both speak the same language.
Okay. No, I'm asking you what makes that the case.
Um,
I would say, from my frame of reference, God makes that the case. What would you say?
I
You don't
say
believe that? You
that
don't
could
believe that
be.
God does? Okay. Wait a minute. Either it is, dude. It's not. It could be. See, here's the problem. Once again, you're trying to conceptualize God like any other fact. Like it
Yeah, well,
could be that.
that's my problem is I'm not understanding
It,
why this is a different claim. It seems like it's the same thing.
but you think that God operates like any other fact, like it could or could be gold on Mars. You
Yeah,
think that same thing applies to God? That
yeah.
would be making a category error.
I don't see how. I mean, I understand like he was explaining how their categories are different, but I don't understand how that gives that a special get out of jail free card or something. I don't
No,
understand.
what you're not getting is you
Yeah.
can't put. I'm not saying you have to believe God exists. I'm saying, from your frame of reference, if God does exist, you wouldn't be able to put him in the same category as gold on Mars.
Why?
You just can't do that because one is ultimate by definition and one is not.
What if it's ultimate gold on Mars? Or I don't know what this ultimate thing makes any difference to it. Like
Dude,
that's
no, the ultimate fact would be the basis for all things that are not ultimate, sir.
okay, but that's a claim that it's ultimate.
Okay. All right. So wait a minute. Do you believe that there's anything that is ultimate at all?
What does ultimate mean really? Like I'm probably not getting that part right.
I explained that to you. It would be whatever is the case that doesn't depend upon anyone or anything else. It would be the thing that grounds all other facts, sir.
Uh, in that, if you say it that way, I don't know that there's something ultimate.
Okay. What? Okay. Well, what would ground your assertion? I don't know. Nothing or something.
I don't think there's a nothing.
Well, there's something. So there's something out there that grounds your assertion, isn't it?
I don't know what that really means. Grounds my assertion.
No,
Like,
makes it possible for you to utter this statement. I don't know.
I mean, I exist.
Yeah. What grounds that?
I don't know
Then why are you asserting you exist when you can't talk about the grounding?
because I can't think that I exist and don't exist. Like I'm having this
Oh,
experience.
Wait a minute. So there are some things that are transcendentally necessary.
I don't know about transcendental or whatever, but
Well, you said you
I don't
couldn't
know
think
about
otherwise.
necessary.
You said you couldn't think otherwise, though.
Yeah. Well, how could I even be talking if I don't exist?
Exactly, but there will have to be a necessary category to ground that, sir. That's the point.
Okay. And you're claiming you know what that category is? I don't know.
Yep, it's God.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. Is there what's? I mean, I'm not going to ask you for evidence of God because it's a hard thing to prove, but that's just a
How do you
claim.
know that? How do you know that's okay? You say it's just a claim. How do you know that? Are you omniscient? Do you know everything?
No, that's why it's a claim.
So how do you know that saying God exists is just a claim if you don't know everything?
Because you claimed it and you can't show that it's true.
What do you mean by showing you it's true?
I don't know how to say that in a different way.
I asked you this earlier.
Yeah, you said the Bible, man. I mean, come on.
No, but you make the assertion that the Bible cannot show you it's true. How do you know that?
I don't understand. How does beer in a refrigerator show me that a car starts? Like, what does that even?
Okay, how do you know that beer in the refrigerator is the same as the Bible?
Well, you made the claim, not me. Are you saying that the Bible?
No, you made the claim. You compared them as the same thing.
Yeah, because it's just a piece of information, but it's not evidence.
No, how do you? Well, wait a minute. So wait, hold on. Are you the king of what's evidence and what's not?
No.
Okay, then who are you to say what's evidence and what's
not?
Well,
then the Lord of the Rings proves Sauron.
Maybe it does from your frame of reference. How do you know it doesn't?
Because I don't see any evidence that it does.
Well, what would be the evidence it would?
A novel testable prediction that made.
So once again, you're back to the empirical scheme again, aren't you? Which you already admitted it cannot prove all things.
Yeah, because I'm being honest and I'm not going to make claims that I can't back up.
Why does honesty matter?
Because we're trying to have a conversation in good faith.
That doesn't mean that there's any obligation to be honest.
No, there doesn't.
Okay, so you're
putting. But I'm being honest. So.
Okay, if there's no obligation to do so, then what would be the virtue in being honest when there's no point to do so?
Because then we can have a better exchange of information.
What does better mean?
Means that it's more likely to make novel testable predictions and comport with reality.
And what is reality?
I exist.
Wait a minute. Just you exist is reality.
That's all that I know for sure.
So there was no reality before you existed.
I don't know for sure.
Well, dude, either reality was the case before you existed or not.
That's true. But I don't know which is of those two is true.
Okay, so here's the problem. Every time you get backed into a point you can't answer, you just say, I don't know. So
because I'm being honest. What's wrong with being honest? You want me to lie?
Well, you're not telling me that honesty even matters, though. You're just
I just told you honesty matters. Otherwise, we're going to be thinking the wrong things. I want to believe as many true things as I can. You know, I don't want to believe stupid things.
Well, what makes anything true, though? You don't know.
Because it comports with reality.
Which you haven't even defined. You just said I exist.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can start from I exist, and then it appears to me that there's air around me, and I breathe it, and if I stop breathing it, I die.
When we say reality, we're talking about the set of all real things.
Okay, and you start from your existence, and you move out from there, I would think.
Okay, so when you say you want to hold to things which are true, you're saying you want to hold to reality.
Yes.
And reality is defined as what?
The set of all things, like you say, I think. That's good.
So when you want to hold the truth, you want to hold to the set of all real things.
Yes.
The set of all real things is just a set. That doesn't show that anything is true or false. You just point to a set of objects.
So if you can point to an object, it isn't necessarily real?
No, you said you want to comport to the set of all real things. So you just want to point to a bunch of objects that are real.
Yeah, I don't want to believe I have fake money in the bank and then not be able to spend it at McDonald's.
What does it have to do with whether something is true or not? How does pointing to all real objects show me whether T-Rex exists on the earth or not?
I don't even know what you're asking at this point. That's kind of.
No, I'm asking you. How does pointing to the existence of all real entities show me where we came from?
I can't point at all real entities because I only have a very small part of this universe, but I would say that reality includes everything that exists.
Okay. Well, just stipulating reality doesn't show me what's true. It just shows, it just
Right,
says that
I didn't
there's,
make that claim.
okay, but you said you want to believe true things.
Yes,
And I asked you about what that means. You said reality.
I want to believe what's in reality and what pieces of reality that I can see. I realize that there's many pieces of reality that I'll never be able to see. It's
And
too far
reality
away.
is the and reality is the set of all real things. So
Okay.
you want to believe. So you want to believe in the set of all real things?
Right.
I'm breaking your statement down. Do you understand what I'm doing?
No. But that's okay because it keep going because
Okay.
it'll make sense.
Okay. You just look. How does talking about a set show me if there's gold on Mars or not? How does saying things exist tell me whether there's gold on Mars or not?
I wouldn't think it does.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any correlation to what is true. So when you say you want to believe in reality, you're not being very clear. Get from talking about the set of all the real things to the truth of whether to the truth of where these things come from, or what are the contexts for these things. Just talking about the set of things doesn't tell me the context at all. Unless you want to say that all these things are just eternal, which you already denied that.
I denied eternality.
You denied that every single thing that exists is eternal.
Well, I don't know that I don't think that. Well, I mean, what do you like? You know, when they say matter can't be created or destroyed or whatever, I guess you could say that makes everything.
Well, how do
eternal.
you know that?
I don't know that, but it appears to be as true as we can see from
What that's
anything
talking about is that there's no known cause that can create or destroy matter. That doesn't mean, and that doesn't mean that you know that anyone knows it to be the case that cannot happen.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Mechanism for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like we can't know for sure.
So either all things, conceptually speaking, did not begin to exist or not. And you say you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Right.
So if you say you don't know, then how would you be able to rule out any particular thing? Especially when you talk about God.
I could rule out a lot of things with a degree of certainty, but not completely.
Okay. Once again, you're talking about your confidence. I don't care about any of that.
Okay.
Again, degree of certainty, how much you think something is likely to be true or not. Once again, that's just talking about your confidence in something.
Okay.
So why do you keep talking about your confidence, man?
Because that's the only thing that I have access to in reality.
Where'd you get that from?
How in the world could I do anything past that?
You're not telling me where you got that from. You just made an assertion that that's the only thing you have access to.
I don't know that what I can have any access to beyond what I actually have access to. I mean, like I can test things around me.
You're just begging the question, though, dude.
Begging what question?
You're saying that's the only thing you have access to. Are you? You already admitted earlier you're not omniscient.
Right. That's why I'm saying that, because I'm not omniscient.
Okay, but you said that's all you have access to. Is that necessarily true that that's all you have access to?
It's necessarily true as far as I can tell that I only have access to the things I have access to.
No, that doesn't work. You can't say it's necessarily true as far as you know.
Okay.
Then it's not necessarily true.
Okay, well, it's true as far as I know. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, because I don't understand philosophy that much, and I know that necessarily is like a really big word that I shouldn't use, or necessarily or possible world or whatever thing. Like, I don't know that stuff. So never mind the necessarily. So I don't know for sure that I'm not omniscient, as far as I know.
Because we gotta, once again, we're talking about necessary preconditions or transcendental necessities. What things are required for something else to be the case, ultimately speaking? So when we do a transcendental exercise, we're doing what's called an internal critique or an internal analysis.
Okay.
We're saying that we have certain worldviews on the table, like Christianity or atheism or whatever you're talking about. These things are going to ultimately either ground what is the case for reality or not. And the way we do that is simply we take things that we understand in our experience and we juxtapose them or compare them to what's fundamental to those realities. And here's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree 1,000% with that.
So if we talk about how we can reason,
Yeah.
and in terms of the Christian worldview, we would get that sort of a connection from God. We talk about how we can be ethical creatures. Once again, we get that from God because God is righteous, God is good, just, perfect, holy, all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, I get that that's your claim. I get that that's your claim.
Okay.
But I'm having trouble saying that. Why is it not okay if I say I don't know?
You keep saying that's my claim, but you don't have any basis to say that's just my claim because you admitted earlier you don't know what's in my head.
I don't care what's in your head. That's still your claim. You just claimed it.
Well, but wait a minute. You don't know that's just my claim, though, because for all you know, I could be making a statement that's true.
That's true. It's your claim. Your claim could be true, but until you have evidence for your claim, then your claim's not true.
You say it's a claim, but do you know that it's just a claim?
No.
Okay, then why do you make the assertion when you can't ground it's just a claim?
Because it is just a claim until you present evidence. That? Because you haven't presented any evidence to say that it isn't a claim.
No. To say it's just a claim with me, I haven't necessarily proved it.
Have you proved it?
No, that's your assertion implicit.
You just said it.
Yes, it is. No. You said it's just a claim. So are you asserting that I haven't proved it necessarily?
I'm going to assert that you haven't proved it to me.
No, that's not why I asked you.
Okay, well, I don't know if you proved it or not. Maybe you proved it to somebody, but you haven't proved it to me. So to me, it's just a claim.
Proved it to you what, empirically?
Any way you could possibly prove it.
No, but the only thing you gave me earlier was an empirical methodology.
Okay, you know another methodology?
Dude, I'm just going with what you stated to me already. I'm using your own words.
Yeah, no, thank you, because that's the ones I understand. But if you know a different way to prove something, let me know, because besides empirically.
But going once again with your own words, you also admit that you can't prove all things empirically. So you're making an arbitrary stipulation of what things you want to prove empirically and which things you don't.
Well, because we can't know anything 100% for sure, or I don't think so anyway. But
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You should have that standard to all things, period.
I do have that standard to all things.
No, you don't. You admitted earlier that you can't prove empirically the Earth is more than 5 seconds old.
Right. That's exactly what I'm saying.
So you don't use empiricism to prove that, do you?
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
How am I going to prove this
Prove empirically that the Earth is more than 5 seconds old right now.
I can't.
Exactly. So you don't use it for that.
I do use it for that.
No, you don't, because if you did, you'd be able to prove it.
No, I can say that I don't know it because empirically I can't prove it.
No, you don't use it for that at all because it doesn't work to use it for that.
Yes, it does.
Well, use it and prove it.
Yeah, I empirically can say that I can't prove that it's more than 5 seconds old.
No, I said prove.
Why are you trying to get me to prove something that I don't believe?
I said prove that the Earth is more than 5 seconds old empirically.
I can't.
Do you believe that the Earth is more than 5 seconds old?
Yes.
Do you believe you can prove that empirically?
No.
Then why don't you use that standard to prove everything?
Because you can't.
So you can't use. So how do you know that you have to use that to prove God if you can't use that to prove everything?
I don't. You made the claim that there's another way to. No, hold on.
No, you said stop.
No. Not going to run away from this one.
Be quiet.
Okay.
You said you don't know that you have to use it to prove everything, but you insist it must be used to prove God.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Rewind it and show me where I said.
Yeah,
anybody in the chat say if I said that you had to use empirical methods to prove God? Did anybody hear that?
No, you said that's what you wanted.
Oh, that's a whole different claim. I would like that, but I don't need that because you said that there may
Okay,
be.
so if you don't need that, then why'd you introduce it then?
Because that's one way that I know. But you seem to.
You see,
Okay.
Can I
finish a sentence? Can I finish a sentence?
Consistent, man.
Can I finish a sentence? Yes, I am. I'm being 100%
I don't understand.
consistent.
Why are you asking me for a criterion? All you're really saying now is that, well, you would like this, you would prefer this, but your preference doesn't mean anything rational.
Okay. So you seem to
So why
imply.
should I
Oh my God! Can I finish one sentence? Seriously, are you this much of a chicken that you're not going to let me finish a sentence?
Why should I capitulate to your preference?
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And I never asked you to. That is a straw man of your own creation. Can I finish one sentence?
No, it's a question.
Okay. You seem to imply that there's another way to prove things besides empirically. And if you know one, I'm happy to entertain it. So what is that?
If you've been listening the whole time, I'm talking about transcendentally, dude.
Okay.
You know what transcendental argument is?
No.
It's talking about once we look at necessary preconditions, there are things called narrow transcendentals and broad transcendentals. For instance, if you're going to talk about, I don't know, how you can have games, you need to have the concept of game to have any instantiation of a game. Whether you're talking about football, chess, whether you're talking about backgammon, checkers, anything. If you don't have the concept of the game first, then no instantiation of any game can exist. That's what's called a narrow transcendental.
Okay.
If you take that away, all those dissipate. Now, that can interact or impact your life on a superficial level or in an entertainment scope, but that's not going to, take away everything full stop. But we got to get more broad than that. What if we took away the aspect of causality itself? That's going to impact a whole host of things.
This is showing a different way of proving things besides empirically?
Yes.
Okay.
If you take away causality itself,
okay,
how would anything that's derivative of something else exist?
I don't know. I don't think it could, probably. I don't know.
That's right. It's called a broad transcendental.
But how does that prove something?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
So we're getting more broad than that. But what provides for the broadest broad? We're saying that God, in this situation, is the transcendental of all transcendentals, narrow and broad. Okay. And if you deny that God's the fundamental starting point, you lead to self-destruction, logically, philosophically, coherently. If you deny that God's the fundamental starting point of all your facts, you're going to lead to a worldview that is self-destructive and cannot ground facts.
That sounds like a claim that you'd have to provide evidence for, though. That's a claim. That's not a proof.
That's how you prove something from a transcendental perspective.
That sounds like a claim.
No, sir. What you're doing is you're showing that only one worldview, when you take its content and you do an internal analysis, that's the only way that you can have knowledge of anything at all whatsoever.
Wouldn't you have to prove that claim empirically?
We're not just talking about proof. We're just talking about how proof is possible. I'm going deeper.
Yeah, you claim that that's how proof is possible, but that's a claim. Like, wouldn't you have to prove that somehow?
You keep saying that's a claim, but you don't have any basis to justify that.
Because you just made a claim and you didn't give me any proof for it.
How do you know? You're not being clear. What's the standard of proof you're talking about?
I don't know. You said there's something besides empirical proof, so I'm trying to see what there is. Like,
no, you're not trying to see what there is because you're saying I haven't proven it.
You haven't proven it.
No, you made an assertion. You're not trying to see what else there is. You made an assertion. I haven't proven it.
You made a claim. That's all you did. I don't understand.
How do you know that's all I did? What is providing you with the justification that that's all I did?
Because you made a claim? I don't know what you're asking.
I made a claim because I made a claim. You're begging the question.
What? You made a claim that this is proof. But
no, and I asked you, how do you know I just made a claim? Well, you said because I made a claim. You're saying the same thing twice. You're begging the question.
Yeah, okay. You can call it begging the question. I don't know what to say besides you made a claim.
That's
you
what
made a claim.
Is. That's what that is by definition. You're not
Okay.
being informative. You're not explaining anything.
Because you made a claim. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with your
I
claim.
made
You're
a
not
claim
bringing any evidence
I
with
made
your
a,
claim.
I made a claim, and I said, "How do you know that?" Well, because you made a claim.
Yeah.
That doesn't show that that's all I did by saying the same thing twice.
Okay. Okay. How about it? How about this? You made a claim without providing any evidence.
How do you know that?
Because I didn't hear any evidence.
What's the basis of evidence?
I mean, a great one would be novel testable predictions.
So you notice what I said, the basis of evidence. I didn't say a basis, I said the basis of evidence.
Evidence would lead me to believe something. That I would call that evidence.
Okay.
Or I don't know how to define evidence well.
Is evidence because you accept it so?
I think ultimately, if we're going to be honest, we probably have to say yes.
Could something be evidence even if you don't accept it to be?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
Well, the answer is yes. That would be like saying, well, let's say a flat earther and a heliocentric earther are arguing about facts.
Okay.
The flat earther denies that any of the arguments against their position, they just deny, well, that's not evidence. We've tested the circumference or the diameter or whatever of the earth. We have all these facts that show that the earth is not flat. And then the flat earther just says, well, that's not evidence. That's not evidence.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I guess we could agree that evidence would be evidence whether we accept it or not. But it seems more like in that case you'd be denying facts, though, rather than denying evidence, denying that it's evidence, or just saying that those facts aren't evidence.
What I'm getting at here is that you have a different standard of evidence than I do, and what you're saying is because you don't accept what I say, therefore I haven't given you evidence.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
So that's why I keep pressing you on what is the standard of evidence that you're talking about. Well, let's work with that.
Yeah, I think it would just be something that would move the needle towards believing what you're saying a little bit to me.
Which would be specifically?
A novel testable prediction would be good.
What? You're back to the empirical thing again.
Okay, well, that's why. You were saying that you had something besides empirical, but then you just made a claim.
Dude, I told you a transcendental proof, dude.
I don't know how that's a proof. That doesn't sound like evidence to me.
No, because you're used to only evaluating things empirically. Therefore, you dismiss what I'm saying to you.
Okay. Is there something else transcendental that you can show real that we could both agree on?
I'm telling you, if you deny this, certain things are going to be reduced to absurdity. You prove it by what's called the impossibility of its negation.
I accept that.
For instance, try proving the laws of logic without presupposing them.
Yeah, no, I accept that. I accept that. Fine. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So if you have if transcendental stuff is evidence or proof, can you think of something else transcendental that we both agree on we only have transcendental evidence for?
So I said something we both agree on is the laws of logic. I think you agree with that, anyways.
And so we prove those are proved by. I mean, those are descriptions of reality, though. I mean, I don't know how they. I mean, we can empirically prove the laws of logic, though.
Okay, show me the law of identity under a rock or behind a tree.
Well, the what?
How do you test the law of identity inside a beaker?
Okay. Then I would say that whatever's in that beaker is not what's not inside that beaker.
No, you're giving a description. You're not testing the law.
Okay. We could pour it out and find out.
What you're doing is you're just giving a reference.
Yeah, I'm empirically testing it. There's no way to. That's why I don't understand how to do it without empiricism.
You're empirically testing chemicals and materials. You're not empirically testing abstractions like the law of identity.
I think I could empirically test the law of identity.
No, dude, the law of identity is an abstraction, not a material thing.
Okay, but I could still test whether it's accurate or not.
Okay. Would you be able to... Okay, did physical things have to exist before the law of identity could be invoked?
I don't know, because
Oh, you don't know, but
No.
you're claiming that you can test the law of identity.
Yes,
right?
I can test the law of identity.
Then it seems to me you're saying that you need physical things in order to test the law of identity.
Well, we exist in a physical world. I don't know how to not.
Do you need physical things to test the law of identity?
I think so.
Well, then okay. So are physical things required for the law of identity to exist?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, then you can. All right. So, in other words, the law of identity can exist prior to physical things.
Yeah, because like you could have a God and he's like, yeah, I'm going to build this world. Let's see. I'm going to make it so that there's a law of identity and a law of non-contradiction and stuff like that. So I assume, I guess it could be before physical things exist.
Wait, then the law of identities are not materially ensconced. They're not materially contextualized.
Okay.
That's the point. So what are you talking about when you say you can test them?
I could test them.
You test something immaterial.
I would test it by using material stuff.
Dude, how do you test something that's not material by nature in the way you're talking about?
Because it's a description of reality. So we could test whether or not it's an accurate description of reality.
No, but dude, you'd have to presuppose them for the test.
Why?
Not test them. Because you're implicitly presupposing things like identity prior to the test.
No, we just call that a hypothesis, and we test the hypothesis and see if
what hypothesis?
The hypothesis that the law of identity.
How can you evoke hypotheses without the law of identity being true?
How could you not?
Okay, dude. How can you? Did the law of identity come prior to the hypothesis? Or did you test it during the hypothesis?
Well, you would have to have already written it out as a hypothesis before you.
The law of identity didn't pop into existence once you started putting.
But again, the law of identity is a description of reality. It's not a person that you can go talk to.
Okay, you can't test descriptions in that way, dude. You can't test.
Why not?
You don't, dude, because you cannot test. It's by definition you can't test immaterial things. You test material things.
We test immaterial things all the time.
Testing means observing, repeating. You can't observe the law of identity.
I test immaterial things all the time. I build audio software for a living. Yes, I do. I do it all the time.
Dude.
I test my concepts, and if they work, they work. And if they don't, they don't. They're immaterial things. They're concepts, unless you want to say they're material because they're inside my head, and there's neurons firing and chemistry and stuff.
Dude, you don't put the abstract thoughts in your head into a beaker.
Yes, I do. I do it every day.
No, you don't.
I do it every day.
No, you don't.
I do it every day when I make software. I do it every day.
This is not, dude. No scientist or philosopher worth their salt will assert this nonsense you're saying.
Okay, well then tell them to come talk to me because I do it in software every day.
Then you're just making an ignorant statement.
Okay.
And here's what you're doing. You're like the ignorant student in college who's simply denying everything his professor is saying when they don't know what they're talking about.
Okay, so you're saying that I don't test concepts in the material world.
No.
That's your claim.
No.
Okay.
Yes, that's my claim.
Okay, well then you're wrong because I test whether or not my new compressor is going to work well, or if it's going to distort, or if it's not going to distort, or if it's going to limit the bandwidth. I test these concepts every day in the material world.
Okay. No, you're confusing having an idea about something and then translating that idea into a material representation.
No, I have a concept of an equalizer, and then I materially make it, and then when I pass audio through it, it affects it that way.
Okay, sir. If you write the number 7 on a piece of paper and burn it up, does number 7 disappear?
Well, that number 7 disappears.
No, does the number 7 disappear, period?
That number 7 disappears.
That's
the
not
concept,
what I asked you.
Okay, the concept of the number 7 doesn't disappear.
Okay, then burn up the concept of number 7 right now.
Okay. Good luck. I don't think you can do it.
Exactly. You can't do that materially.
Okay. But I can think of the concept of 7, then I can grab 7 pens, and I can say, hey, there's 7 pens right there. So
no,
No,
I can't.
eradicate the number 7 materially
I
right
can't.
now.
I can't.
That's right. You can't do it materially.
Exactly. So when I test concepts, I build
Dude,
my concepts.
if you can't get rid, dude, if you would be able to test it materially, you could get rid of it materially too.
Why?
Well, because it would be exactly like this. Let's say you wanted to test, I don't know, decomposition.
Okay.
If you wanted to test decomposition, you could simply get rid of the experiment by burning it up, and therefore you don't have you don't have decomposition to test.
Yeah, but you still have the concept of decomposition. I really don't know where this one is going.
No,
Like, I don't understand.
What I'm saying is concepts and material things are different categories, and you're trying to connect them as the same thing.
No. I wish I could connect them as the same thing. I can't. I have to instantiate in the real world the best I can get to my concept of what I have as a concept, but I can never. There's just like time limitations that make it impossible.
Do you know what an abstract entity is?
I'm not sure.
And Darth was explaining this to you earlier. An abstract thing would be something that's of the mind, like numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So numbers are immaterial. It's well known in philosophy that there's representations of numbers, and then there are the numbers themselves.
Okay.
The numbers themselves are not material, but you can represent those in a material fashion, like
right. That's what I'm saying. That I do every day with software.
Okay, representation is not the thing itself.
Well, of course not.
Okay, so you're not actually testing the thing itself. What you're doing is
I'm testing the concept.
You're giving a representation.
I'm testing whether or not that concept corresponds to reality. That's all the only claim I would make, and that's the only claim I did make.
But you can't test the number 7 corresponding to reality by writing it on a piece of paper.
No, but you could do it by putting 7 chicken scratches on a piece of paper.
No, that's a representation. That's not the number 7.
I'm testing whether or not there's. Well, I don't even know what you mean by the number 7, then, because to me, 7 represents things.
I'm talking about the abstract conceptualization of the number 7.
It sounds like you're writing about or dancing about architecture at this point. I don't know what you're.
No, I'm not dancing about anything. I'm telling you the difference between a representation and the thing itself.
Yeah, I understand the difference that the representation is not the real thing.
Okay.
But so I'm telling you that you can. You claim that I couldn't test the law of identity. That's where this all started. And I'm saying I can test the law of identity.
You're not testing the real thing. You keep on extrapolating the representation to the thing itself.
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. I can test the law of identity.
No, you can test materials that you represent as being consistent with
okay, and that's all that matters in the real world. So I'm okay with that.
No, but that's philosophically false to say.
I don't care. If the philosophical doesn't represent the real world, then I don't care. We're talking about whether or not a God exists. So you're saying I can't make a claim that God doesn't, that I don't know if God exists. That's your claim.
But philosophy matters because in everything you do and say, you're making philosophical claims.
Okay, then it better comport with reality.
Okay, but there's reality, and then there's your philosophical view of reality.
Okay? And if your philosophical view of reality doesn't comport with reality, then it seems pretty useless to me.
Okay, so how do you know that you have the right interpretation for what reality is?
Because I'll test the law of identity, or I test the law of non-contradiction.
What you presuppose.
No, I have to test them.
No, you can't do that without them existing prior to it.
Well, they could exist whether or not I tested them, but that doesn't mean that I know it. I can test it.
How do you even know you're testing the law of identity?
Well, if you give me the law of identity, I'll tell you how you can test it. How about that?
No. See, what you like to do is you like to make claims.
No.
Stop. Okay, once again, when you make any test, how do you know you're testing the law of identity?
Because the law of identity is a description of reality.
And where'd you get that from?
From my head?
And is that necessarily true?
No,
Okay, so you're resting that on I don't know.
of
Well, how
course.
have
Of course, because I'm being honest. You don't know
so
either.
all to, oh, so once again, you go back to saying what's in my head when you already admitted you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know for sure that you don't know, but I'm pretty damn
You
sure
see-
you don't know, or else you'd present me with something
See,
that would show
you
that you
contradict
knew.
man, you're a nice guy, man, but you contradict yourself all over
But
the place.
you know what I mean. We're not talking absolutes and ultimates. You know what I mean.
Well, then, if you want to be so honest, just say you don't think I do.
Yeah, I don't think you know. I'm pretty damn sure you don't know, but maybe you do.
Well, so what? That doesn't mean anything.
Okay, it doesn't mean anything. So when I say I don't know, and you guys pretend like you know that I know when I say I don't know, that's what I'm saying. It's like you guys are wrong. Like I don't know that there's a God. You guys say that I know it, but you're wrong. You don't know what I know.
Here's what we're talking about, though. What we're saying is we can actually provide a starting point metaphysically for what we ground and assert.
Okay.
You can't even provide one, but you think you have the right to make assertions.
Right. You claim you can provide one, but it doesn't seem to have any hold in the real world, though. To me, like that's why I'm trying to find out how do I know that that's real? You know. Uh-oh, did somebody mute him? Uh-oh, did somebody mute Tone?